It's morphin' time! Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to another discussion about DVD and Blu-ray releases, which I'm now calling Soundout's Disc Discussions. I've done a lot of these in the past, just kind of casual little chats about DVDs and Blu-rays, and sort of like an overview of something. And specifically today we're going to be talking about Star Trek. As you can see before you, I do have quite a few releases. This is not all of them, but this is a franchise that recently has transitioned to pretty much having all of its TV shows air exclusively on streaming services, made for said streaming services, and yet, here we are, still getting Blu-ray releases. So this does differ from a lot of the industry moving digital and moving streaming focused, and CBS seems to be still committed to releasing things on disc. But we're going to discuss, the ins and outs of that, the ups and downs of that, and sort of just have like an overview chat of the franchise as well as its DVD and Blu-ray releases. So let's get started. So we begin our journey with Star Trek the Original Series. Of course, this is the series that has received the most home video releases out of the entire franchise. It's the iconic staple that began this series. And of course, it was the first one to get canceled and completely go into obscurity until it was revived by a very solid fan base. Really kind of crazy how that works. Now, with the original series, this is not the first releases we owned. And I say we because my parents are huge Star Trek fans. My mom is a particular fan of the original series in particular. That was redundant, I apologize. But she had the original DVD release of the series, which was in these plastic clamshells. Those we still have, they're just elsewhere, they're just not relevant anymore. And when the Blu-ray releases began, we picked those up right away. The main attraction with the Blu-ray, outside of the fact that it's the series in Blu-ray, is that they upgraded the visuals. A lot of the visual effects for the series did look dated. That's just a nature of the fact this was done in the 60s. You don't really get around the fact that 60s effects will not look as good as modern-day effects. They did this really great job of replacing all the Enterprise models and shuttlecraft models and other ship models with CG models, making CG planets. It sort of isn't like top tier greatest visual effects ever put into the show. It's stuff that's like significantly more visually impressive than the original, especially a lot of the shots changing, and a little bit more consistent with the newer series. So where like Next Generation uses a lot of closer shots of ships, that's kind of what you got here. Like here's a damaged Enterprise versus you got original look was like, okay, it's, slightly damaged. This thing's like, oh, it's torn apart. So it's actually got some really cool effects, especially stuff with shuttlecrafts. I think the shuttlecrafts look so much more impressive. And then here's something here where it's like, oh, we did a simple flash effect. Here's more of a general phaser effect. So that kind of thing was, I think, a little controversial. Some people did not want to see the original series changed, and then others welcomed it. For me personally, since I didn't really watch the show in its original effects, I started watching with the Blu-rays. I'm more used to the newer effects in general, and I do appreciate the work that was done in the originals. Personally, I prefer the remastered effects. And so does my mom, who's been watching this series since the beginning. So she's seen it all her life, and for me, I've only seen it kind of one way, and I sort of flip-flop back to see what the original effects were. And I really do appreciate the model work on this series, but I gotta say the enhanced effects are really cool. It just kind of elevates a lot of the episodes, especially some of the weaker written episodes do get a lot of elevated power with those new effects in place. They released, 3 seasons of the series. There's a ton of cool bonus features on these sets, too, and that's one of the best things about Star Trek disc releases, is that you get a ton of bonus features. Especially with the original series, you get a lot of stuff that's like home movies from some of the people that worked. We've got Where Land Has Gone Before as a bonus feature. They threw on the Tribbles episode of the animated series. There's just all kinds of stuff. There's, bonus features on the remaster process and, the new effects. Pretty cool overall. So you're probably wondering, what's the giant silver box? Well, a few years ago, CBS re-released everything in nice complete sets. We already had the complete series on Blu-ray, so it didn't really feel like we needed to buy the complete series box set because it was exactly the same discs. But my mom was gifted this during a birthday, the original series. It is the DVD edition, but this was a wonderfully generous gift, and it has, you know, the same content. So essentially, with these sets, they have like a ton of discs. So we'll kind of look at this better in another set. We don't really watch this copy, but it worked out because on the shelf, this is more compact, looks nicer, and yeah, I just kind of have these stuck behind it. So overall, original series gotten a lot of love, and it's probably never going to see another release again. They just re-released the Blu-ray again just like last year. So it's pretty much had its run on disc, but it looks better than it ever did. So well done. Star Trek the Animated Series, the Filmation series from 1970-something. 22 episodes of the weirdest Star Trek you'll ever find. And I've recently been watching through this completely for the first time. And I gotta say, this show is just somewhat bizarre, but I do appreciate its bizarreness. This is the DVD release. Now, there has been a Blu-ray, but first of all, this case is super cool. It, like, looks 70s. There has been a Blu-ray release of this series, and I've not picked it up. There's, you know, if you'll notice with the rest of what I talk about, I like Blu-rays. I really do. But this is a series, much like the original Mobile Suit Gundam, where some people may know I picked up the DVD and not the Blu-ray, just because I don't see a reason to have this show on Blu-ray. It looks really good on DVD. I looked at, I think, Trek Core's review of the Blu-ray, and they're like, yeah, if you got the DVD, there's no real reason to pick this up, because there isn't any new bonus features on the Blu-ray. The show doesn't look that much better. It's Star Trek the Animated Series. If you look at any screen cap, you can understand why that's not going to get any better than it is. It's well presented, it doesn't look grainy or old, it actually looks better preserved than He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, which is a much more successful show. But yeah, that's it. I just don't see the need to upgrade to Blu-ray. Now, if you've never seen this show and you want recommendations of episodes, I think it was episode like 4. The whole Enterprise crew gets taken over by sirens that are mind-controlling them, and Uhura and Nurse Chapel just go in with a squad of women security officers and just start shooting. It's great. You've probably seen GIFs of it. You've probably seen memes of this show. But yeah, it's an experience. It's definitely an experience. Let's talk original series movies. Now this is interesting, because we had all these movies on DVD. We'll put this aside for the moment. And then when they came out with the Blu-ray sets, they did one for this, one for Next Gen. We'll look in a bit. It's the original motion picture collection. Really nice box. I really do like the premium feel. It's kind of funny because Nozomi's Gundam Seed Ultra Edition has the same kind of design. But you got this really cool lenticular shot of the Enterprise A. And then inside here, we've got, well, this is, I don't think this was included with the Blu-ray, but this is a Star Trek The Experience ad. Anyways, this was, for those that don't know, it was essentially a mini Star Trek theme park inside a Las Vegas hotel. It closed down, I think, around 2008. I saw it around 2006. I think I just stuck this in here to never lose it. Wonderful experience. Look stuff up on YouTube. That was something magical. So anyways, each movie presented in a single case here. You know, this is kind of the standard Star Trek design, is like logo, gray backing or blue backing, and that's pretty much it, which isn't too bad. You see we got McCoy on this one. And of course, it's got like a ton of bonus features again, Blu-ray exclusive bonus features, you know, stuff from the DVDs, all kinds of cool stuff. Now, these movies, they were remastered well, but I can't say that there's Chekhov on Wrath of Khan, which is funny. It's ironic if you know the story. But anyways, the transfers are all right. They're definitely that early Blu-ray. I think these were, I want to say, yeah, these are 2009. This was early Blu-ray days. They're not exactly what I was looking for. Of course, Spock is on Search for Spock. At the time, great. Over time, though, I'm like, man, I wish Paramount would invest in 4K releases. Like, going back, getting the original masters. There's Sulu on Voyage Home. Just getting a better version of these movies out there. Because this is fine, and they do re-release it a lot, but it really could benefit from new transfers. Uhura on Final Frontier, I think, is a nice choice. But yeah, so these are really nice, you know, copies of the movies. It's just, I could look a little bit more. Maybe like Scotty on Undiscovered Country. It seems fitting. And then also you have the Captain Summit bonus feature. There's Kirk on there. which is interviews with, people from Trek, specifically like them. So it's like a 70-minute bonus feature. Pretty cool stuff. But yeah, this set's really nice. They've re-released it in less fancy packaging recently. And they've also put out like a 10-film bundle with the next-gen movies. So you can really get these movies pretty easily. It's not too hard. The only thing that was missing from the set, outside of, having a nice 4K video, because that didn't exist yet, was the director's cuts. I think for the motion picture and Wrath of Khan, and then I think one other had a director's cut. But here's the Wrath of Khan director's cut, which came out years later on a single release, which is just so weird. But it comes with both cuts. They finally remastered it. They gave it a ton of bonus features. They even did like a Fathom event screening that I went to see. That was like really, really cool. But yeah, it's like a single disc release of Wrath of Khan on Blu-ray. There's the ticket. This was 2017. A director's cut, and it's really nice. And the thing is, it's kind of, again, makes me want more transfers. This is a 4K transfer of the film, but on a 1080p. So the thing is that this legitimately looks better than what's in the other set. So again, would like to see kind of an update. We'll see if that ever happens. I know Paramount's not doing so hot just in general. But that is something that's on my wish list. I hope this isn't the last time these movies get released on disc. A show that probably needs no introduction is Star Trek: The Next Generation. This is by far the most popular series next to the original series, and it sometimes is more popular. It is an impressive version of a reboot, because that's essentially what it was created to be. Let's reboot Star Trek. Let's have a new ship. Let's have a new cast. Let's have new ideas. It's continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before. It updated it, it modernized it, it brought it in without ruining it. Star Trek Next Generation is an absolute classic, and it's a long series too. Original series only ran 3 seasons. This got a whole whopping 7. So this Blu-ray release set here is a compilation of the individual Blu-rays. Now, this is a show that we never owned on DVD because, well, one of the downsides of CBS and their marketing plan for Star Trek is that things are expensive. Like, back in the day, a DVD set of a season of Next Generation could be like $100. And when they did the Blu-rays, they were like $130 a season. Now, there was a reason why the Blu-rays cost that much. Outside of, it's a lot of discs, a lot of episodes. They went and remastered Next Generation to HD. And by remastered, it wasn't like, oh, we cleaned it up, look, it looks okay. Like, they took it down to the original film elements and re-edited the entire show. And this is something I didn't realize at first. I was like, $130 a season, are you kidding me? And then when I got the complete set, which I think I paid like $90 for, it wasn't that much in comparison, I went through some of the bonus features like, oh, they stripped this show down to the basics, the base film elements of the series, and then remastered it. Like, this is one of the most insane remaster jobs ever, and they're probably never doing it again. I don't think they made their money back at all. Whereas the original series remaster also aired on TV. The Next Generation one didn't. I think they've updated all of the streaming on like Netflix. I know CBS All Access to have the new remaster. Because man, some of these effects and some of these episodes look so crisp and clean, it's unbelievable. But yeah, it was kind of expensive to pick up as it came out, and this complete set came out later, and I was really, really happy they did it. Because yeah, I did get the whole show for about $90. I think it retails for like $150, but it was on sale. I pre-ordered it, and it went down in price because weird Amazon stuff. I do appreciate Picard, Data, Worf, Riker, Troy, LaForge. Crusher's like the 7th, but she didn't get there for a season. So there's all that going on, but 2 big boxes and a nice big set with a nice interior design, which I really appreciate. But there was something missing. So again, trying to make up all the money for how much this remaster was costing, CBS did something that was quite controversial. In fact, the content itself was not controversial, it was just the release method. So why do we have 5 Blu-rays sitting next to here? Well, starting off, Best of Both Worlds, the 2-parter between Season 3 and 4 of Next Generation, was released on a single disc. Now, this is not the only way to get it. The individual episodes are on the Season 3 and Season 4 sets. However, this is the 2 episodes combined into a seamless movie. And seamless movie it was. I think it even did a Fathom event screening, which I remember going to. And this really was cool because it's like, oh, you can just watch it in one go instead of having to have the episodes on 2 different discs and 2 different sets. But the thing that bugged people is not necessarily that this was released singly, but that it came with an exclusive bonus feature and an audio commentary that wasn't present on the main set. It kind of felt like, hey, you gotta buy essentially these episodes twice if you want all the bonus features. And that's essentially what it was. At the time, I picked up the Best of Both Worlds, as it is probably my favorite episodes from... as you can see, the slipcover has a tendency to catch on Locutus's face here. It's probably my favorite episode of Next Generation, my favorite 2-parter in general. And so I picked that up at the time. I was like, okay, cool. And then years later, again, bought the box set. Was like, all right, now that's probably got everything in it. It's a complete series set. They probably threw these in. And then I went through the set and was like, oh, they didn't. Okay. So then sometime after, picked up Redemption, picked up Unification, picked up Chain of Command, and picked up All Good Things. These are the 5 2-parters they decided, let's streamline them together. There's some extra footage because stuff they found, they're going through archives. And, of course, exclusive bonus features. So that's why Next Generation here takes up more room than it probably was going to and did for a while. But, hey, we got as much as we could. Released alongside the original series motion picture collection is the Next Generation motion picture collection. This one, black box to distinguish it. Nice slipcover once again. Really cool lenticular Enterprise E. And then we have, same format. So we got Picard here on Star Trek Generations. Once again, bunch of bonus features. Once again, could take advantage of a 4K. I would love a 4K at First Contact. Wrath of Khan's my favorite Star Trek movie. This is my close second. Riker on First Contact is appropriate. Really nice. These movies still look good. It's just they could look better. There's Worf on Insurrection. Some of these, I think they probably think about like, oh, can we really sell like Nemesis or Insurrection or, could we sell Final Frontier on 4K on its own? It's like, yeah, no, you're probably just gonna have to do a box set. I wouldn't mind just all 10 movies in a box set, and that's the only 4K release, but we know they'll split it up. Here's Geordi on Star Trek Evolutions, which is another documentary, plus a lot of bonus features. And my favorite bonus features here is Farewell to Star Trek The Experience, Klingon Encounter for HD, and Borg Invasion 4D HD. Those 3 bonus features are all about the closure of Star Trek The Experience, and Klingon Encounter and Borg Invasion are essentially videos of the rides themselves, which is so bittersweet that closed so soon. I miss it dearly, but I did get to go. It was a wonderful experience. And yeah, it's a pretty good set, but just like with the original movies, throw all 10 in a 4K set. I'll give you however much you're going to charge, because I know it's not going to be cheap. Popularity of the Next Generation led to Deep Space Nine, a spin-off that aired on a different network. It was interesting. I think Trek was on like 2 or 3 networks in the 90s. But Deep Space Nine here had a great 7-season run. Wonderful show. And it got a really cool box set. So, again, this is one of those cases that DVDs came out. We didn't own the DVDs. When there were 7-season shows, when the sets were like $100 a piece, it just wasn't feasible. This, I think I paid like $112 for this complete set, which this complete set I think came out around the same time as the Next Generation set, as well as the original series set. But this is DVD only. Reason why I picked this up is because while, their hope exists that one day they do an HD remaster of Deep Space Nine, looking at the reality of how much the Next Generation remaster cost, and Next Generation being that close to the same popularity as the original, and not making back its money enough for CBS to want to invest in an HD of, Deep Space Nine, I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's get Deep Space Nine on disc. And this is a really nice box. It's got that nice rainbow holographic, Deep Space Nine on the top. I love the wraparound of Deep Space Nine itself. And it is in 3 big cases. I also love Quark here with tribbles. it's a wonderful surprise every time I open this up. But yeah, so we got essentially big DVD cases. So season 1 through 3, you got unbearded Sisko, Odo, and O'Brien. It's got every bonus feature. These are not new discs. They're new printings of discs with new labels to give it that same kind of uniform look. It typically is gray as DVD, blue as Blu-ray, but you know, sometimes that doesn't always work out. But that's the first 3 seasons there. We've got, you know, Worf, Kira, Dax, and Sisko with beard. So 4 through 6. I want to say they also released these sets kind of like this individually, similar to this or something like that. We got that, and then season 7, there's Kira, Quark, and Jake. It's kind of interesting seeing a case this thick just for one season, but it is a 7-disc set. Yeah, DVD is not the best format for Trek. I know that standard definition Blu-ray is a thing happening in the anime world. I do wish it would carry over to other worlds. It would have been nice to see maybe if it's on standard definition, Blu-ray may only be one of these and not 2.5. That being said, wouldn't get that nice artwork, so there is that. Take everything I said about Deep Space Nine and apply it to Voyager. Another spin-off, a fairly successful show. It ran 7 seasons. One of my personal favorites for the fact that this was the show that was airing when I was a child. This was the one my parents were watching because it was Voyager, and they were watching it because I was alive. I was watching it with them because it was Trek, and we could watch it as a family experience. And this box has this wonderful image of Janeway, who is one of the greatest captains of all time. Don't argue with me. No one's going to argue with me. The Voyager itself here, 7 of 9s on the back. Of course, she is one of the most popular characters of the show. And it looks like kind of like it's got a cool rainbow effect. And just like with Deep Space Nine, it's 7 seasons across 2.5 big boxes. Nice shot of the Borg Queen inside. And I love how it reflects on either side. That's pretty cool. So yeah, we've got, there's Janeway with Tuvok on the 1 through 3. Again, same deal. The actual interesting part, they're not tied down. They just come out. Kind of convenient, actually. Then here we have Janeway with 7. I'm not really going to open these. There's really no point. And then Janeway with Torres, which I thought was an interesting pick. Yeah, 7 disc a season. A lot of discs. A lot of fun. It's Voyager. It's awesome. I'm happy to have it. Star Trek Enterprise. This is where the franchise fell apart. Sadly, the 90s were a huge boom for Star Trek. Tons of merchandise, tons of shows. As you see, we had 3 7-season shows back to back. And then we had this little 97 episode, 4-season ditty. Towards the end of Voyager, I think Star Trek's popularity is starting to wane, and Enterprise kind of put the nail in the coffin. Actually, more like the bullet in the head. I have nothing against Enterprise inherently, because I've only seen like 2 episodes of this show. I've been meaning to get around to it, it just hasn't happened. In fact, not even my mom's seen all of this, and she's seen every show. My mom and dad were watching Voyager, started Enterprise, stopped watching Enterprise. It's a show that, when it started, wasn't even named Star Trek, and it didn't feel right. It had a lyric theme song. There was a lot of things around it at the time where it did get better. I mean, they had a Borg episode. They tried to save the ratings with Borg. It's a show that I've heard good things about in its later seasons, but at the time, parents didn't watch it. I didn't watch it. We even picked it up on DVD with the intention of watching it when it was over, and that never happened. And here we are with Blu-ray. Still haven't watched it. It's on the list. We're gonna get to it one day. This is a nice set. As you can see, with Blu-ray, all 4 seasons fit in one box. This is a show that was already in HD. They didn't have to do any remastering, so that was nice. They just threw it they threw it out as 4 individual sets, threw it out as a box set. I wish I could get the sticker off, but it started to peel the cover, and I was like, nope, I'm just going to leave that. But yeah, that's Enterprise. We've been looking at a lot of complete sets, but let's look at some individual things. After Trek's mini hiatus between like 2000, wherever Enterprise ended, and 2009, there wasn't really anything, but the J.J. Abrams Star Trek was the revival. This is part of the Kelvin timeline. This is a movie I really like, actually. It's something where I first watched it, I wasn't sure if I liked it. But yeah, over time, I kind of really appreciate this movie. This is one of those old school Blu-ray DVD or a Blu-ray on a separate bonus feature on a separate disc, and a digital copy, not a DVD copy. Digital copy on a disc. This is old school. And since then, they have released all three of these movies on 4K. I just didn't see anything that made them that much better than what I have. So this is the first release of this movie. Same with Star Trek Into Darkness. A movie I don't like at all. I think there's like two things I like about this movie. I don't find it to be spectacular, exhilarating fun. This movie has a lot of logic breaks, and logic breaks is where I don't appreciate movies anymore. This was a Blu-ray DVD combo pack. It was very light on bonus features, and they released a compendium of this and that with a bunch of bonus features later, and we're like, oh, you wanted bonus features for that? Okay, buy them again. And I said no. That's what we got. And then we got a movie I really love, Star Trek Beyond. I wish this was the second movie so we could have gotten a third one, but that's just not how the timeline worked out. Very cool motion picture inspired poster art was used for the Steelbook, which, yeah, I went all Steelbook because I said, okay, I love this movie, and we're probably not getting another one because I was looking at the box office numbers. Blu-ray, DVD, plenty of bonus features for this one. And yeah, if I was to buy the Kelvin movies on 4K, it would be to have Beyond on 4K. And Beyond already came out singly on 4K, and looking at those reviews, there wasn't really a reason to upgrade. Which is sad, because I think that 4K is a nice format, but it's got to be done right. Can't be done cheap. And now we get to the bulk of the topic I was getting at. As you can see, CBS and Paramount has provided a lot of disc releases for the previous Star Trek shows. And now we move into a new era. After the Kelvin Timeline movies ended, not really on a high note box office-wise, but I think a high note storytelling-wise, CBS took the back of the reins and said, all right, we're doing Star Trek TV shows again. Except it was a little different. This time, it would be on their new streaming service, CBS All Access, or Netflix internationally. And it started with the very polarizing Star Trek Discovery. Now, this is a show that, when we were going into it, we knew it was going to be on streaming. We knew it was going to be mature-themed, or mature-rated. And I think we were watching it up to the point where they dropped like 2 F-bombs in a single scene, and I think we all collectively, we as in me and my parents, just kind of were like, this doesn't feel right. And so we dipped out, and we didn't look back. Sometime later, after hearing about mirror universes and Pike and stuff in season 2 and stuff in season 1, I said, okay, I think it was earlier this year, I was like, well, locked down for quarantine, why not just watch Discovery? How bad could it be? And what I actually discovered was that this show stumbled a lot during season 1, but season 2 is amazing. Let's discuss it. Let's discuss the show, and we'll talk about the Blu-rays. So season 1 of Discovery was dark. It started with, kind of a hopeful note, but it led into a very dark Klingon war. And that's, I don't want to give spoilers to this show, but I do want to say this Blu-ray release is nice, because look at this cover. Look at that whole cast there. Like every main character of the season. It's pretty cool. They left Hugh off, though. That's yeah. Dr. Colbert did not report for this photo. Also, Tyler doesn't have a beard. That's just weird to me. Anywho, really nice promotional art used here. But yeah, so season 1 was incredibly dark. It focused on a war with the Klingons. There was crazy stuff going on. There was some fun episodes here and there. Harry Mudd shows up, played by Rainn Wilson, who's really awesome. Michelle Yeoh is in it as Captain Philippa Georgiou. Probably one of my favorite Trek characters ever. But yeah, it was incredibly dark. It didn't feel very hopeful, and yeah, it was kind of a bummer to watch. The way the show starts is that nobody on the Discovery likes each other. Everyone seems to have a hidden agenda, and it's just weird. It just doesn't feel right. It's like, it just felt off. Tone-wise, it felt off. The show does improve in the later half when they go to the mirror universe, which I'm going to leave all that for anyone watching. If you know, you know. If you don't, you might want to check it out. Because, yeah, I think the show did pick up when it went to the mirror universe, because it was already dark to begin with. So mirror universe could be darker than it ever was before, and that kind of worked for the mirror universe. But after this season, things really picked up. Because here we have season 2. As you notice, the color palette went from blue and black to purple, orange, yellow, and Captain Christopher Pike is on the cast along with Spock. And while longtime Star Trek fans are going to be like, oh my god, Enterprise, oh my god, Pike, oh my god, Spock, they actually work narratively in the show if you never knew who they were. I mean, I don't know how you don't know who Spock is, because he's like a pop culture icon, but most people don't know Pike. He was in The Cage. That episode was used for flashbacks in Menagerie. He's not that well known to the general public. He is technically the first captain of the Enterprise we ever see, but Anson Mount took the character that Jeffrey Hunter played, but elevated it. Not to mention Rebecca Romijn as number 1, taking the character Majel Barrett played, and elevating it. Also, I just love the way they rendered the Enterprise in this show. If you are a fan of the original series, it looks like the Enterprise, just a lot more high-tech. And that's something I do want to talk about. Discovery is a prequel to the original series, 10 years prior, and they have a lot of fancy future tech that doesn't fit in the context. So for a lot of fans, it did kind of feel out of place. Tone-wise, it was out of place in Season 1, and technology-wise, it was out of place completely. And going into Season 3, they figured out how to work around it. But I gotta say that while at first I was very apprehensive about Discovery, I am glad I went back. And especially for Season 2, I think Season 2's finale is probably one of the most incredible two-parters of Star Trek. And the thing was that, well, once I got through Season 1, and Season 2 had Pike and the Enterprise, my parents were on board then. And after Season 2, we really want to see Season 3. We haven't started it yet, so don't leave any spoilers in the comments. We're a little behind, but we're back on the train now. I'm glad Discovery got its footing. It's like I've been telling people, Discovery Season 1 was like Next Gen Season 1, but Discovery Season 2 is like Next Gen Season 3. Like, it jumps really good in quality. And with only 13 episodes or so a season, it's impressive. Now, let's talk about the big thing here. This is a CBS All Access streaming show. It got a Blu-ray. Most Netflix shows don't get Blu-rays. Some get DVD. Some get Blu-ray, but not all of them. Disney Plus shows so far, no Blu-rays. I'd love to own The Mandalorian on Blu-ray, but here we are, not seeing it. Warner Brothers is pretty good at putting out their stuff, but yeah, CBS, for as much as they're pushing CBS All Access, they do say that if you wait 9 months, you can buy the show on Blu-ray instead of subscribing. Which, while that doesn't help their subscriber numbers necessarily, it does help the fans. And I do really appreciate that they're still going with this. It's not like they just threw out one season of Discovery and called it a day, like Netflix did with Daredevil. I really want to say that regardless of the drawbacks of CBS releases, which we'll talk about in a minute, I'm really glad they kept going. And they didn't just stop because it was on streaming. So, how about we continue going? Star Trek Short Treks is a spin-off of Discovery that was made out of a necessity to fulfill a network request. The Season 2 episodes weren't going to be done in time, so extra episodes were shot. They just happened to be only 10 to 15 minutes long. 4 short treks debuted prior to Season 2 Discovery, and 6 more came after. And they put them all into a set together. Sort of. So basically, this release, when it was announced, was kind of controversial. Season 2 Blu-ray of Discovery did include Runaway and... what was the other one? Runaway and The Brightest Star. Sorry, my brain slipped there. These 2 were included. These 2 relevant to storylines in Season 2. The other 2 from the first batch, Calypso and The Escape Artist, don't really pertain to Season 2. Escape Artist goes to Season 1. It's a Harry Mudd-related thing. Calypso is... well, if you haven't seen it, I don't want to say anything. The other short treks, including Q&A, The Trouble with Edward, Ask Not, all relate to Pike and the new version of the Enterprise. Ephraim and Dot and The Girl Who Made the Stars also tie into Discovery directly. And one of them, which is missing from the set, Children of Mars, tied into Picard. So including these as bonus features on Discovery sets wouldn't feel out of place. However, they packaged most of them together in this set. This Blu-ray was only about $20, which isn't too bad. It does have a fair amount of content, because there are audio commentaries. There's a bonus feature every one of them, whether it's a commentary or a short about it, as well as a bonus, like, making of kind of thing. And the thing is, I think that if these were bonus features on Discovery, we may not have gotten those individual bonus features for each short. So, while yes, it's not like a whole season's worth of content, and it is its own set, and yeah, it probably could have just been included in the Discovery sets. If it kept the Discovery set price lower, or just allowed for these bonus features to exist, I'm okay with it. It balances out in the end. But Star Trek Short Treks is really, really incredible. The amount of artistry in these episodes is honestly astounding. I pretty much like every single one of them. So, really cool stuff. And now we've come to the final release of Star Trek so far. Hopefully not the final release ever. I'm pretty sure not. They have plans. Star Trek Picard, Season 1. Another polarizing show from CBS All Access. One that I do appreciate. This show doesn't feel like Trek, while also feeling like Trek. It's a continuation, of course, of Captain Picard's story, bringing in several characters from the Next Generation. This is the nice Steelbook release. But it just, it hits a little different. And it's not like Discovery, where it has similar Star Trek formatting with its casting. This is one of the most ragtag, motley crew group of people Trek has ever seen. And I really kind of appreciate it. This show decided we're going to be completely different. And then they went for it. It is darker. It is more mature. I think it's more mature than Discovery. It uses colorful language. A lot. Not sure if I agree with that one too much. But overall, by the end of the season, I did come to appreciate this show a lot. And I really do give CBS credit for going this different on things. Like, this is not usual Trek at all. And yeah, over the course of these 10 episodes, man, there was some high emotions. So, if you're a Next Generation fan, don't go into this thinking it's another season of Next Gen. It's not. It's a new show. It feels completely different. But I also do like the fact that it didn't just ignore other parts of the franchise. It does bring in 7 of 9 from Voyager, and brings her into a really cool role that I think really defined the character nicely. And I gotta say that, while not perfect, this is one of the finer first seasons of Star Trek. So, there's that. Like I said, we're at the end of the road here because Lower Deck Season 1 just finished airing a few weeks ago, and it's probably about another 9 months before it's going to see a Blu-ray, which I think it will. If anything showed me, they're still going ahead with releasing these shows on Blu-ray for the fans. I do appreciate that, as CBS All Access, while a decent streaming service in and of itself, doesn't have the same quality as a non-compressed disc. It really does look better on Blu-ray. So at the end of the day, there are some downsides. Prices are kind of high. I think Picard, this Steelbook, it's a 10-episode show, it's $40. It's a little much. The bonus content does sort of make up for it. So the prices have come down. They're definitely not charging $120 a season. Looking at you, individual Next Gen, the season Blu-ray. But, they're still not necessarily as reasonable as some other shows. I know with Warner Brothers, it's like $30 a season, but you get like 22 episodes, roughly. Blu-ray prices are weird. But at least I appreciate the CBS All Access shows are a little cheaper. I already pay for the streaming service, so I'm getting the disc because I want these shows beyond what CBS All Access will live for. So there's that. Plus, the quality is so supremely better. I can't stress that enough. It looks amazingly better. So at the very end of the day, stuff like this, I hope they don't do anymore. We stitched the episodes together, we're going to sell them separate, and then never repackage them. I hope that doesn't happen again. I hope, we could see like 4Ks of this. I know that's Paramount's territory, but, it's all, overall, I'm looking at the fact that I've got every piece of this franchise, except for Lower Decks, because it just recently aired in Discovery Season 3, which is still airing as of the time of the recording. I gotta say, that doesn't happen. Something always gets left behind. And I'm hoping that's not the case with the upcoming Star Trek Prodigy, as it's a Nickelodeon series, and Nick releases are weird. And I'm hoping that the Star Trek part of it will help push it through. Because I like the fact that I have an entire library of Star Trek in front of me, even if it cost a lot to put together. It's something I can't say for Star Wars. Star Wars basically stopped after a certain point. They're like, oh, we did our movies, and I'm sitting over here like, okay, well, I'm missing like a couple TV shows and some other stuff. Like, I don't have the last season of Clone Wars on Blu-ray, and I'm not sure if Disney's going to put it out. So, CBS, I'm glad you kind of started to make things more reasonably priced, because I really want you to keep going. Please don't stop here. So that's kind of the end of my conclusion statement, is that, sometimes when it comes to Blu-rays and DVDs, I think especially going forward, it's going to get more expensive, which sucks because it doesn't cost that much to produce this stuff anymore. It's just these companies are like, streaming is the future. And I'm like, yeah, but I look at HBO Max and it's like, oh, hey, that movie that just went on there is leaving in a month. Or I look at Netflix, I'm like, where'd that thing go I wanted to watch? Or I look at CBS All Access, I'm like, you crashed again. How am I supposed to watch my Picard? Well, that's what Blu-rays are for. Discs have never failed me, and, well, except when they're like misprinted or authored incorrect. Anyways, discs rarely fail me, so I hope they keep going. Anyways, that concludes this very long video about Star Trek DVDs and Blu-rays. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a comment, hit like, subscribe, notification bell, all the good stuff. Follow me on Twitter at Soundout12. Follow our graphic artist Darkclaw on Twitter at Darkclaw643, and check out Hero Club at hero-club.com for interviews, news, and more. And that's pretty much it. So I hope you all have a great day, and until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.